So there comes a point where being the person everybody depends on gets real heavy. You still show up, you still handle business, you still tell everybody you're good. But sometimes the person carrying everybody else is barely carrying himself. And strangely enough, a toy sitting on my shelf reminded me of that. Because when I look at Optimus Prime, I don't see the perfect leader anymore. I see somebody carrying weight. As y'all know, this is Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots, right? So, what he represented to me as a kid, he represented what a leader was supposed to be, you know, strong willed, um, very, not necessarily soft spoken, but firm but fair, easygoing but stern. And some days I wish a lot of leaders were like that, but we can't always have what we want, right? But so kid me saw the leader of the Autobots, the OG. He's my OG in my opinion as far as top five leaders, my list of all, toy fiction. He's number one. I'll do a list on that later, somewhere down the road. But yeah, kid Calvin saw the leader, right? Adult Calvin sees the burden. I mean, who is Optimus Prime? Again, he's a leader, he's a protector, he is a decision maker, someone expected to have the answer, someone who takes responsibility when things go wrong, right? But what does leadership cost the leader? I think that's a question every leader should ask themselves. Notice I said leaders, not managers, because let's face it, there are leaders and there are managers in any type of establishment you think you work for, or even if you're one yourself. So, yeah, what does leadership cost the leader? So, I believe that Optimus Prime's strengths can also become his weakness. I think, long story short, he just carries way too much. He carries way too much, and a lot of us do. We shoulder loads that we don't necessarily need to shoulder. We take on way more than what we should take on. You know what I mean? And responsibility can become identity. And then there's a point down the road where you start believing, if I'm not holding everything together, who am I? You know? And that gives you a natural bridge into adulthood. Things like fatherhood, work, finances, your relationships, setbacks, pitfalls, shortcomings, whatever the case may be. Um, you do all that, you have all those issues, and you simply try to keep moving. And look here, I'm not trying to make Prime flawless, because let's face it, he is absolutely with his own share of druthers and negatives. But at the end of the day, again, responsibility can become identity. I can tie in a figure like Prime into my own personal story, you know? I could probably speak to something like my transition out of the Navy. Um, so, like, when you join the military, you have, you got structure, you got a foundation, you gaining a little discipline, you gaining a little order. So I had all of that. Had all of it. Had a great 10-year career. It was up and coming. It was moving. You know, I had my structure. I had my rank. Like I said, I was moving up. I had my responsibilities, not just as a husband and a father at the time, but as a young upcoming sailor. I had my mission. I had my goals, and then, you know, came time for me to get out for reasons I won't explain right now. It was honorable. It was definitely honorable. So that is what it is, you know. The big thing is civilian life doesn't hand you an instruction manual when it's time to leave the service. And I think, like anybody getting out of the service who's unprepared, there were struggles. And boy, did I freaking struggle. Financial struggles, employment instability, family responsibilities. You know, I had two young babies at the time. My daughter was 6, and my oldest son was 4. And when I got out then a year later, my youngest son came along, and they had to endure, repossessions and evictions. I've had a few repos. I've gotten kicked out of a few places. Um, my marriage ultimately ended a little later on down the road, and through all of that, I still had people depending on me. You know, leadership doesn't mean you always know where you're going. Sometimes leadership means continuing while you're trying to find the road yourself. You know, and I'm going to make it abundantly clear with all of that. I wasn't Optimus Prime. I was simply a man trying to transform without instructions. All right, so check it. I have made plenty of mistakes. The Like I said, the repossessions, the evictions, the bouncing around from job to job. Hell, with 2, then 3 young babies and a struggling marriage, it's safe to say I was definitely drowning. You know, I was definitely drowning. And listen, not every decision I tried worked. You know, I thought I had good stability with the job after I got out the Navy, which was insurance sales rep. Found out, couldn't become an insurance agent unless I passed the test to get my license. Wasn't a great test taker. Don't have the greatest study habits. I'm more of a let me put my hands on it and get to work kind of guy. You know, not every job was right. Not every job fit. I've done some crazy jobs in my day. Insurance agent, retail. I used to boot cars. We won't even talk about that one. Not every financial decision was good. I got addicted to payday loans. I got addicted to cash advances. You know, robbing Peter to pay Paul, basically borrowing money from friends and family. Some people I still owe to this day. I'm surprised they still even rock with me because of all of this. This is definitely embarrassing, man. It's definitely embarrassing. So not every relationship survived. Got a failed marriage. I'm divorced. And from there, just kind of spiraled out of control. I won't lie. I went on a bit of a. I got kind of wild for a little bit. Just kind of sleeping with whatever would sleep with me, basically. Just things were not good when I got out of the service because again, life does not hand you, you know, a civilian manual so you know how to transform and do your thing. And there were times when survival replaced strategy. All the planning that I used to do when I was active duty, having a plan for the plan and having a backup plan and all this, All that shit went out the window, bro. At that point, you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to make it. I had young mouths to feed. I had a marriage I was trying to keep up with, not understanding the nuances of marriage and civilian life versus, had a military life. And yet, failure did not remove my responsibility to becoming something better. I'm not gonna lie, I suppressed it, absolutely suppressed it. Instead of using those tools and that discipline that I was taught, that was bestowed upon me on active duty all those years ago. Like I said, I was just trying to survive, man, trying to keep my head above water, trying to hold on to my marriage, trying to keep my babies from, trying to distract them from the fact that I was struggling in my first marriage. So we lose battles, man. Optimus Prime has lost battles. Who hasn't, right? But that's different from becoming defeated. That's far different. That distinction can carry several minutes of thoughtful conversation with the right people, you know? So know your folks in that regard. Know to talk to somebody, know to ask for help, know to, do what you're supposed to do when times get crazy like that. Don't run around here thinking you can handle that shit on your own, because I'm going to tell you firsthand, unless you got a nice nest egg, in which that will even deplete faster than, you've been able to save it. You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it trying to survive. You're not going to make it trying to just get by. So, yeah. So I've been out 20 years. August 26th, 2006 will be exactly 20 years to the day I left the Navy. And I think the message, you know, leading up to today is I'm still building, man. I'm not successful in a sense that, I'm comfortable. I can kick my feet up and chill. Hell no, I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of work to do. And there was a 10-year gap where I did absolutely nothing. I survived. I thought, oh, I got this. Till I saw that I didn't. Clearly, I saw that I didn't. Um, I'm still building, man. I'm rebuilding my career direction. I am building a marriage. I'm married for the second time in my life. Been married 6 months now, and she has been nothing but a blessing. I am building my creative work. You know, I'm building the Moodyverse. That's what this channel is, and everything that falls under it. Just trying something different, stepping out of my comfort zone, trying to dissolve that fear or feel the fear and do it anyway. I'm building lessons from plastic, which is what this episode is. And you'll see more episodes like this where people can relate, you know? And I'm rebuilding myself. About a month ago, I had a heart attack. Crazy, right? When it rains, it pours. But I ain't going to be denied, man. I'm going to absolutely make sure I put my best foot forward. And I'm going to absolutely make sure I handle business. I'm going to absolutely make sure I keep getting rid of the word survive and replace it with the word live, because that's what it's all about, living. I'm not getting any younger. None of us are. And there's only one way off this damn rock. And we already know that, right? I think, long story short, Optimus Prime transforms repeatedly. And so do we. Transformation isn't something that happens once. It's something that happens frequently. It's something that goes down frequently. It's evolving. It's becoming something different. It's reinventing yourself. right? It's rebuilding. So I want to ask, what are you carrying right now? Hmm? What's going on up there? Maybe you're dealing with money, marriage, career, parenthood, starting over, failure. Know all about it. Age. We're not getting any younger. I just turned 49 last week before last. See, memory's fading. Age. Regret, whatever the case may be. Maybe transformation doesn't mean becoming somebody completely different, you know? Maybe it means finally becoming the version of yourself life requires right now. Right now. So yeah, man. To somebody else, this is an Optimus Prime figure. Plastic, paint, articulation, something to take up space on a shelf. But that's not what I see anymore. I see responsibility. I see failure. I see rebuilding. I see transformation. And maybe that's why I've kept collecting all these years. Because now I understand that every shelf tells a story. Sometimes you have to be old enough to understand what it's been trying to tell you